Hello there, I'm Kafi Khan and welcome back to my Android tutorials. In the previous video, we talked about explicit intents. If you haven't watched the video, please watch it. In today's video, we'll be talking about implicit intents. To understand implicit intents, we need to know what's an intent. Intent is like a glue between activities. It allows user to interact between components within the same application or different application. That gives us two types of intents, explicit and implicit. Explicit intent explicitly defines which component is to be called, for example, going from activity X to activity Y, whereas implicit intent defines which action is to be performed, for example, clicking a photograph or viewing an image. It doesn't tell us open the camera application. It says perform this action, capture image. And to understand implicit intent, we're going to make a small application with one activity. The UI would have one button. When the user hits this button, it will open the camera application. So let's get started. Let's create a new project and let's call it implicit intent. Let's hit the next button. Again, we're going to keep the minimum API as 15 so that we can cover 100% of devices running on Android in the world. Again, let's hit the next button. And let's create an empty activity. And let's call our activity as a capture image activity. Let's hit the finish button. Android Studio is building our project, so let's wait. Okay, the Gradle is built, our project is ready to go. Let's close this. Okay, let's start with the UI first. So again, let's take it step by step. So we're going to make an application with one activity, and the activity would have a UI with one button, and when the user hits the button, it opens the camera application. So step 1, let's create an activity, which we've already done. Step 2, design the layout. So in layout, we just need a button, so let's design that. Okay, let's get rid of this constraint layout. Let's give it an orientation, say vertical. Okay, and we don't need this text view, so let's get rid of this. We need a button, right? Button with match parent, white wrap content. Let's give it an ID, say BTN capture image, and let's give it a label. And to define a label, we have to define a string, which we need to define in the string.xml file, which is located in the resources. So resources, values, string.html. So let's define a string here. Say str label capture button. Okay. Coming back to our UI part, let's define the label text str label capture button. Now, as you can see in the preview, we've got a button, capture image. Step 2, done. Step 3, when user hits this button, we need to open the camera application. So again, step 3 means listening to the click event. So let's do that. And to listen to the click event, we'll need a reference of our button in the Java file. So for that, let's declare an object. Okay, because it's a button, so we're going to declare a button object. Button btn capture image. Let's make it private. Now we've declared our button object, so let's initialize it. btn capture image is equal to find view by id r.id and our id for the button, which was btn capture image. Again, just to recall, find view by id is an inbuilt function of Android which returns a view corresponding to the id provided. So in our case, it returns a button view corresponding to the id btn capture image. Okay, now we have to listen to the click event, so let's define that. btn capture image dot set on click listener new on click listener. So again, just to recall, on click listener is an inbuilt function of Android. So whenever user hits this button or whenever user hits this view, everything inside this on click block will be called. So in our case, we want to define an intent over there which calls the camera application. So let's do that. Intent is equal to new intent. So we've declared an intent object. If you remember, in explicit intents, inside this intent here, we define go from activity X to activity Y. But here we aren't doing that because this is an implicit intent and here we've got to define the action. So let's do that. Intent dot set action. Again, set action is an inbuilt function of Android. And let's define the action, which in our case is capture image. Media store, action, image capture. So now so far we've defined our intent object and we've set the action, which is capture image. So let's start the activity. Start activity, intent. Okay, it looks good so far. So let's run our application. To run the application, we just gotta hit this play button on the top. Let's hit it. Okay, so let's hit the OK button. Again, let's open Visor. Just to recall, Visor is an extension of Google Chrome, and what it does is it projects your Android smartphone screen on your desktop. As you can see, our application is visible on the screen and we've got a button capture image. Let's hit it to see what happens. Now as you can see, it didn't open the camera app because I have multiple options, so it's asking me which one to open. So let's use the camera just once. Let's click the image. That's it. That's what implicit intent does. So, just to summarize, we set an on-click listener to a button. When the button was hit, we defined an intent which triggers an action to capture image. Now let's take this a little further. Say, for example, what we want is when the user clicks this image, the image should be visible on our layout. Again, this is a small project, step by step. Let's design the UI first. Coming back to our XML file. So because we want to show an image, so we'll need an image view. So let's define that. Image view with say 200 dp and height say 200 dp. Give it an ID, say img. Selected image. Sorry. As you can see in the preview, this outline shows this is my image view. So let's give it a background color to distinguish it. Background. say color Android, say color, say darker gray. So as you can see here, this selected part, it's showing IMG selected image. So this is our image view. We've given it a background color as dark gray to distinguish it from the rest of the screen. Now coming back to a Java file. So what we want is when the user clicks the image should come back and should be visible on the screen. So for that coming back, whether you are working with implicit intent or explicit intent, we've got another inbuilt function in Android which is called start activity for result. So what it does is whenever we need some data back from any activity or application or via our intent, we use start activity for result. It takes two parameters, not one as compared to start activity. It takes an intent and a request code, which should be unique for our activity. So let's define our request code. Private final int, say capture image. Let's give it a random number, say 1, 1. Coming down, let's change it to start activity for result. And as you can see, it's showing me an error. Let's pass our request code here. Capture image, and the error is gone. To access the return data, there is another function in Android, which is an inbuilt function on activity result. So let's override that function on activity result. As you can see, it's written here, override. So this is the default function, this part. We're just tweaking it to fit our requirement. So that's why we're overriding it. So let's see if the request code is capture image. And what we need to do is we need to access the data. So as you can see here, our action is capture image. So the return data will be an image, right? So to save that image, we can use a bitmap. So let's create an instance for bitmap. Bitmap, say bitmap is equal to data, here intent data dot get extras dot get, and the key is data. As you can see here, it's giving incompatible types, and if you see the return type of get, it's an object. So to get rid of this error, we can use typecasting. So we're just gonna typecast it to bitmap. And those of you who don't know what typecasting is, it is conversion of one data type to another. So in our case, we're converting the object to bitmap. And still there's a warning that says get may produce null pointer exception. Just to avoid that warning, we can put an if condition there just to check if the data is not null. So if data is not equal to null and data dot get extras is not equal to null. Now as you can see, the warning is gone. So all I've done is I've just checked before executing this statement if the data is not null, and if the data is not null, I'm just checking if the get extras is also not null, if there is some data inside a data object. Okay, so now we've got the bitmap. What we want to do is we want to show it, we want to set it in the image view. So now that we've got our image stored in the bitmap, all we got to do is set it in the image view which we've defined in the layer. And as you can see here, we don't have any reference to that image view. So let's define that. So let's create an object of image view type, private image view, img selected image. We've declared it, so let's initialize it as well. Again, find view by ID, it returns view corresponding to the ID. Now that we've declared as well as initialized our image view object, we can just set the value. img selected image dot set image bitmap. Let's pass our bitmap to it. Again, the set image bitmap is an inbuilt function of Android. All it does is it sets the bitmap to the image view. Looks like we're done here. Let's run the application and see what happens. As you can see, our application is running. We've got a button. We've got that dark gray patch which shows it's an image view. So let's hit the capture button and see what happens. Capture image, just once. Okay. Now as you can see, that image is visible here. Let's click another image. See, the image is visible in the image view. I have got a small homework for you. Now that you know what an implicit intent is and how to define, I want you to go back, make a small application, same application, one activity, one button. When the user hits this button, it opens the URL defined by you in a web browser. If there are any doubt, any questions, drop a comment, we'll discuss it, we'll get it through. If you need the code, I've already uploaded it in my GitHub repo, and the link for that is in the video description below. Again, so far, if you have any doubt, any queries, feel free to drop a comment and we'll discuss it, we'll go through it. Have a great day and see you in the next video.